Greetings, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. Just indicate with like or love if you can hear me and you can see me. Just indicate so that I'll be able to get on with the presentation. It's 3 o'clock and welcome to Africa Day. My name is Carl Joshua Ncube. I am the CEO and founder of Rural BnB, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys today about some of the hidden potentials and exciting things that are existent within the rural space. So I'm seeing a like or two there, which means we are basically audible. So let me just move to our presentation. So today I'm going to be talking about packaging rural tourism, but at the same time we are launching our app, which is an exciting development for us at Rural BnB. Essentially, the app will be allow us to be able to handle a different set of aspects of the rural tourism business, and I'll be taking you through that in a moment. So get us started. So what do I hate? So in the past, people have known that I've attended and at 2 TED conferences, international conferences. And I remembered my first TED talk talking about the fact that, I hated the fact that when people find out that I'm an African stand-up comedian, they think I live in a grass hut. I'm surrounded by animals and I run around naked, running towards the sun, singing songs. Which is true, I guess, because now I live in the rural areas in a national park, and I do have an outdoor shower where I do sing naked towards the sun, songs like Nan Singwenya Mabagiti Baba. But even in my second TED talk, I talked about the fact that I was sick and tired of watching Jamie Oliver cooking with ingredients we can't find in Zimbabwe. And so it started to a number of different sort of a conundrum for me within the tourism space, which I work in. And I wanted to take you through a couple of statistics just to give you context about what's happening within the tourism space itself. Let's look at visitors to Zimbabwe. So according to the Honorable Minister of, I think it's Environment, Climate Change and Tourism and Hospitality, that's the Honorable Minister Mangaliso Ndlovu, he mentioned at the beginning of 2022, Zimbabwe had about 352,719 tourists, which is a remarkable figure as we're coming out of the COVID pandemic. So people are definitely starting to flow through back into Zimbabwe, and you've seen Zimbabwe being put on the top 10 lists of tourists coming into the country. The second thing is that according to UNWTO, which is now launched the best tourism villages, which is a topic we're going to be talking about today, which is rural tourism. You will look at the fact that, for example, an average stay, say, on an Airbnb would be 1,454 per night for 6 rooms, which basically works out to $100 per person per night within an Airbnb. Another stat is that according to Airbnb, rural or village stays accounted for about $5 billion in revenue for the people who are actually hosting visitors within their rural areas. So this is quite an interesting statistic. Keep that for later. So what kind of expenditure do tourists, well, what kind of things do they pay for? So my wife and I, we run a business called Victoria Falls 365. So we are an information service in Victoria Falls, and we tell people what they can book and what they can do within Victoria Falls. And so it allows us to be able to earn commissions from referrals as well. As an influencer, we're able to push traffic towards certain practitioners. That will be a story for another day. But what you will find is that typically people will spend over $1,000 in flights, $800 per person per night in some of our luxurious camps that are in the national parks, which are in very secluded, almost rural places. A game drive, say, for example, if you're in Victoria Falls and you want to book a day trip to Chobe, it will like about $310 US per person for a game drive, $150 per person for a helicopter ride, which is about 7 to 13 minutes. And then you've got a 70 village tour cost Think about that for a second. We'll get back to that at the bottom of this list. $60 for a cruise, $45 for a Boma drum experience in a cultural sort of setting, eating traditional meals, $30 to go see Victoria Falls if you're a foreigner, $20 for meals in the average restaurant in town, and the average villager will earn $5 per person for a village tour. Now, why are we talking about this? It's very important to understand how the revenues are sort of broken down for you to be able to see that the villagers are missing out on the opportunities. This is not so much a case of exploitation, more than it is about the villagers not really being able to get into the business of a lot of that money that I mentioned earlier. But we will address this in our presentation. So, what is a rural or a village tour? A rural or village tour is organized by your. So essentially what they'll do is they'll pick you up from your hotel as a group and they'll take you into a village. A villager will take you through a number of different presentations. They'll show you how they make their food. They'll talk to you about how they run their village. And then on top of that, you get to take some pictures around the village. So on average, someone pays like about $70. The problem with this type of model is that it seems to present an air of what we call poverty porn, or like, showcasing poverty in such a way that it tugs on the heartstrings and then are left at the end to donate money, which is normally what some of the villagers will say, like you can donate to their projects and so on. The challenge that's there is that I feel it creates more of a dependency syndrome than it does an actual business opportunity, which we will explore in this presentation. So, what is rural tourism? So if you look at rural tourism, like around the world, like people are going to be paying quite a lot of money because these villages have become tourist attractions and they demand top dollar for people to actually stay. So village tourism isn't an alternative accommodation to the hotel market, as it is more of an experience or an immersive activity for people to actually be able to follow. And the biggest challenge that we have in Zimbabwe is that we haven't taken the opportunity to make it an immersive experience. And also even for our business, people think, oh, Carl has gone into rural tourism, so this basically means that this is a cheaper form of accommodation to the hotels. No, it isn't. What it is that we're trying to create a more immersive experience as an activity for people to gain a more valuable cultural experience when they are visiting our country. So let's go to Carl and Nelsie and how we come into this equation. So as you know, at some point, Nelsie and I, we decided a lot of times the business ideas that we have are solving problems that we have. So Nelsie and I were a little bit tired of paying rent. And so we devised a plan to move into a tent so that we could start getting onto the property ladder. And the plan was for us to live in a tent, run a tent business, build a bus into a home, take it onto a rural piece of land, and then build what would be our dream home. And this plan went perfectly okay. And we started getting visitors who actually wanted to stay with us in tents. But one of the things that they did indicate is that they preferred, if they were instead staying in a tent, they would stay in a hut. And so we started thinking more about this and thought, okay, listen, we'll go and live in the rural areas and see what kind of business model we could build. We obviously didn't want to go there with the business. We wanted to immerse ourselves within the rural setup, live there for a year, find out what the challenges are, be able to speak to people, do very meaningful research, collect even some empirical data on what was happening within the rural space, and then come up with an elegant solution to solve the problem that we have in terms of rural tourism. And so we started thinking more about what would happen if we decided to take a hut and then put hotel amenities within a hut. What would that give us? And so we consulted with artificial intelligence because we couldn't obviously go around to every hut and take pictures and so on. So we looked at artificial intelligence in terms of like drawing up some visuals for us. So I'll give an example. So, you look at the external part of the hut, which is what a lot of tourists would drive to come and see. They want to see our huts for what they are, but a lot of times they don't want to stay in the hut because the huts aren't built for comfort. And so we started looking at what would happen if we change the huts, and we put, say, a nice bed in there, like a queen size bed, or white linens, which is the main thing, because my wife and I worked in hospitality, and one of the main things in hospitality is the adoption of the clean white linen look, because that gives the tourist the idea that the place is clean, that is being cleaned, that it's being maintained. That's one of the red flags, obviously, is that if your linens aren't white enough, then there's obviously something wrong with the establishment. And so we started generating quite a number of visuals, and it started to sort of whet our appetite in terms of what kind of business we could set up within the tourism space. But we hadn't quite figured out exactly what we we're going to do. We knew we wanted to serve food in a different kind of way, serve local dishes, but in a very contemporary and modern manner, in a way that the tourists would then enjoy it. Current survey, if you travel in places, tourism places or hotels or restaurants in Zimbabwe, is that a lot of the restaurants or the hotels do not serve authentically traditional food in the same kind of vigor or panache or enthusiasm that they do foreign dishes. So the burgers always have a nice way in which they're done, the souffles, the desserts, and so on. But when it's traditional, it's always just the white, green, and brown. And so what we wanted to do was to also look at what we would do within the food space. And I will explain what our methodology has been in terms of creating that. So I don't want to waste too much of your time today, because I wanted an opportunity where a few of us will be able to come online. So save some of your questions. You can also type your questions in the chat, but we will invite maybe 2 or 3 people to be able to answer some questions for us. We'll also be inviting Nelsie, who's currently checking on our sound and filming a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. So let me take you through our app. I'm sure everybody's been waiting to see what our app looks like. So I'm just going to play some visuals for you so that you can see. Then I'll take you through each of the aspects of the app. So welcome to Rural BnB. It has no sound, by the way, so don't worry. Okay, so let's go through the app and what the app is going to be capable of doing. The first thing is that you'll be able to set up a unique profile that's just suited to you and the different functions of the app. I will take you through the different functions of the app itself, because each experience is different depending on why you've logged on to the app. There's different reasons why, because there's a couple of problems we are solving. We're solving the problem of rural development, but we're also using them as the low-hanging fruit to be able to push a different number of agendas, lobbying, and products that we are looking to put into the market. So will allow you to be able to be directed to a different profile. At the end of it, we're going to be sending you a link, because this is a beta testing. So this isn't the app as it's going to appear in the app stores and so on. This is just for us to be able to fix a lot of the systems on there. So we're signing on people. So at the end, you will receive a link, and then you're required to send information through. And then once approved, we will send you the link to be able to download the app to set up your profile. So the next thing is that you've got your beautiful homepage that will show you a cross-section of different places that you can stay at in the onboarding. At the moment, we've got about 12 different rural BnB experiences that are available. We are currently also going to be building what we call rich centers, which are rural BnBs in each So we call them rich centers because they are research, innovation, culture, and heritage centers. So basically, they're like a model of a rural BnB so that the community are able to copy from there and build their own rural BnBs. So the first rich center is the one that we're building in Victoria Falls. And then consequently, we're currently in negotiations to get land around the country in most of the tourist attractions, basically formulating to have one in each province. The second thing is that once you have clicked for the place that you want to go to, we've got a very beautiful opening page for the village with a description, and then it will allow you to go forward and then look and inspect the different rooms that are available, as well as the activities that are at the village. The next thing is that we also have a shopping experience. So the shopping experience is based off a brand that we're calling Genuine Africa. And Genuine Africa is just a way of being able to curate a lot of the different art that exists currently on the market. So when someone is staying in your rural BnB, they'll be able to scan an object and be able to order it. So they don't have to worry about buying it there and then. They can just always order it during their stay, and that can be shipped and delivered to them. So our app will be able to just pick up on the fact that the person has ordered something, and then they can make the payment, and that can be shipped to whatever forwarding address that they have. This in part will allow us to be able to curate the best type of art. Try to imagine that if we've got 100 rural BnBs around the country, each is potentially a shop. And so we don't necessarily have to have stocks tied up in those particular areas. What we can do is just give a general lead time of between 7 to 14 days to be able to reproduce whatever type of art a person has seen in a room, and then ship it to them, so that people aren't sitting on large amounts of stock, and the clients already understand that this product is going to be reproduced for their purposes, so that they can use them in their homes. So we're quite excited about that shopping experience. The other thing that we have is what we're calling Camp Feel Good. So Camp Feel Good is one of the engines that's there in our arsenal that allows for us to go for the school market. So we can choose a number of different villages, house between say 50 to 100 school kids, or 20 school kids for a team, a basketball team, football team in the off season, so that they can train and be able to designate facilities where they can actually go and stay. This will, again, for local schools to be able to use local rural BnBs, or to exchange with other places around the country where they can do so. They don't necessarily have to go to the tourist attractions, but these rural BnBs can be set up with obstacle courses, paintball, a lot of different things that people can do. So we curate that experience and allow for people to be able to do that. We are going to be holding a camp in December. Let me just give you a preview. So the camp is going to be held in December in our site in Victoria Falls. So there's any number of 3-date slots. There will be links that will be provided to you based on the different inquiries that you may have once you have the app on your phone. So you'll be able to a number of different dates, a number of different age groups, like we've got 8 to 11, 12 to 16, and then 17 17 to 9. So people will be able to join in groups of 10 within our site, and I'll show you the kind of site that we are building for that December period. So we're quite excited with Camp Feel Good. So Camp Feel Good is more of a kids leadership development program that seeks to make fun of teachings, make fun in teaching some of our traditions and applying them to real life knowledge systems, but of very enjoyable and thought-provoking camp. So I look forward to seeing some of you sign up some of your kids for this session. We also have the Academy. So the Academy is we are preparing for this sector to grow, and it will need skills. And so right now what we're doing is we're offering training to young people. What we've done is we've curated a lot of knowledge systems that are already there online so that the young adults or kids can actually learn about hospitality training, but they can use this knowledge elsewhere. So you can sign on onto the app specifically for the Academy section, and then sign on to any one of the courses. Basically, to be able to get a certain proficiency in, you are supposed to run a number of different hours of practical training. So you can get the theory through the videos that you have on the app, but we will organize practical sessions where we'll partner with hotels, lodges, and so on, so that you can actually get the number of hours. Flying a plane. So you're going to have to fly the plane for free to accumulate all of the hours. And then once you have accumulated the hours in the practicals where we send you, then you can then use those in order to get your certification and so on. So we're very excited about that. We've been running this kind of on WhatsApp at the moment and in different forms. But right now we've found a way of just automating the process so that young people can organize their own training. We're also looking at experiences as well within the village. So you can select according to experiences that you want to have. So in the Vumba area, it might be very big on the coffee and the tea drinking. And so what we will be doing is curating those experiences so that you can actually get the best of a particular area. So this isn't while it's a franchise system, it also takes into cognizance the cultural differences, the nuances of the various places that you're going to, and also some of the experiences that you can get when you're staying there. Investors can also log into the app. Now, because of the restrictions, we're a private limited company, we're not listed as a public entity. What we have done instead is that we have formed what we're calling a membership club. So actually join and purchase what are called tokens at $2 a token. There'll be a maximum of 50,000 tokens that are available, which represent 5% of the value of our company. Basically, what this means is that once our company gets listed, your membership is going to be converted into shares. It's going to be converted into shares. So, for example, if you have purchased 100 tokens at $2, going to have 100 shares when we list. So we are setting up this membership so that people who want to invest in the company are able to invest, knowing that when the company goes and becomes listed on the stock exchange, that they are going to have a share of the company. So at the moment, you would not be considered a shareholder, more of a member of a club, with the reward, that membership being that you will get shares. However, we also have a number of different incentives. So it's a membership, so there has to be a lot of discounts that are available that you can redeem points and so on. So you'll be able to earn points. You'll be able to stay in rural BnBs at discounts and so on, or be able to buy art at discounts. So there will be a number of different benefits. So as an investor, when you log in, there is a dashboard that is going to show you the value of the company at different phases. So at the moment, we are at our sort of I think it's the first level of fundraising, where we're looking to raise $100,000 US dollars at the first phase. Then later we're going to be raising $1 million. Then after that we're going to be raising 10 million. And then at the point that we are listing on the stock exchange, we're going to be trying to raise $100 million for this particular thing, because we are dealing with it's a whole sector. This is not just a single business. We are a platform that is going to grow an entire sector. So you can only imagine what the value of your share is going to be at each point. So I would highly encourage those that are considering investing in this business they'll be able to do that through this portal. You'll also be given certain information that will allow you to know where the company is going, the direction the company is going, stuff that will give you that peace of mind to know that your investment is being looked after well, and that everything is being done above board and you're being looked after from that perspective. There's also a section where you'll be able to donate. So we have listed a number of different projects that we want to do. So for example, we want to set up solar grids. We want to set up reservoirs. We want to set up biogas in the various villages. Our objective is to make sure that our company is making money by doing good. So we want to do good in the particular villages by bringing a lot of different types of development from that perspective. And we can only do that with your support. So we are going to list a number of different projects, everything from a rural football league to our academy, helping artists to produce greater pieces of art and equipping them with the right tools to be able to do that. All of those are going to be listed, and you can make your contributions. You can feel free to do that. Some of your contributions are going to accrue and also become points that you can add onto your investor portfolio, so that those eventually, depending on how much you've been donating over time, you can get rewarded for that as well. We're also creating a suppliers database. Now, this suppliers database allows us to be able to verify and vet various suppliers, because think about it, we're opening ourselves up to a larger community of people, and the larger community of people want to actually, they actually want to do some good in their own communities. And the biggest challenge that we've had is that even though Zimbabwe has had remittances from most of our money transferred, close to 2 billion or even more than 2 billion US dollars. A lot of it has experienced pilferage and theft. Relatives have stolen money. People have been told things that weren't built. These are some of the exit kind of complaints we're getting from people. They do want to send money home, but they don't have anyone who's trustworthy to be able to do that. So we want to have a nice suppliers database so that you can choose from the right suppliers, can pay directly, and we can recommend to you the people to work with, and also haggle and get you the right discounts and the right prices that we have. We have Goal Zero, which is an amazing product that's being sold at Solution Center. Now, Goal Zero is a portable power system that allows you to be able to, you pack a power system in the car. You can go to the village and just light up your little hut and transform it. You'll be able to charge your laptops, your camera. You'll be able to power like a small one. And so these come at different sizes, and you can always go to Solution Center to see what kind of products are in existence within the Goal Zero range. And we're very excited about it because we tested it out. They've got some really cool foldable solar panels. Now, these are going to be good for someone who's running a rural tourism business. So you won't have to keep a lot of the infrastructure at your rural homestead. You can always just set it up whenever a visitor is coming to stay. The other partner that we have is Steel Center International. So what Steel Center International have done allowed us to sort of incubate some ideas on housing. We have developed a house that is made up of steel frames that you can just pack in the back of your car and assemble it within, say, a 2-hour period. So this really allows for people to be able to set up the right structure for their homesteads, and then fill it up, whether it's going to be with bricks or with canvas or the different types of materials that are available. So we're really excited about that partnership with Steel Center International, and I will be talking through some of the structures that we are building in the village using their materials. We're also excited to see tile and carpet moving to Victoria Falls, because again, it's funny, people don't really know the effects that tiles can have on your home. And what we're trying to do is make sure that also Zimbabwe is producing tiles for that market. So it's kind of trying to incubate some ideas. We will purchase tiles from Tile and Carpet, but at the same time, we also want our villages to design specific tiles that are to do with their cultures, that are to do with the place where you're coming from, to try and see if we can somehow have tiles being sold through places like this, or to produce like mini factories where tiles are being produced that, if you've stayed in B, you can actually order those tiles for your home if they inspired you in some kind of way. So let's just look at the ecosystem. In order to build this type of business, as rural BnB, we needed to build a whole ecosystem. This has taken so many years for us to get to this point of deciding that this is the business model that we wanted to take. There's so many different things. We could have just run a lodge on our own, but at the same time, what we wanted was wanted a national product, something that the whole country can identify, rally behind, invest in, feel ownership, feel a part of, something that shows people what is possible within Zimbabwe by taking the most obscure of things, like who would have thought that something that's rural can become $1 billion company. And that is a hypothesis that we're looking at proving. And so we have set up an ecosystem that will allow us to do that. The first we mentioned, we've got Camp Feel Good, which allows us to be able to mold the younger minds, incubate them, also bring them into the fold within our business through the Camp Feel Good system. So while it is a business model of schools trips, at the same time, it's trying to educate kids on our ways, the past, present, and the future, but to allow them to dream, but dream within the context of our cultural norms, but also in a cool way, to make tradition cool again. The second thing that we have is Victoria Falls 365. So the 365 product is more dissemination service. So you'll see Victoria Falls 365, you might see Livingston 365, you might see Kariba 365, Nyanga 365. Basically what it is a repository of information and content based on different areas. This allows us to be able to know the lay of the land. It's more of our research arm, but at the same time, we've monetized it in a way because of the information that we collect. A lot of investors do come to us and ask us exactly how they can invest in certain areas or how they can build businesses in particular areas based on the fact that we have a lot of information in there. We also created Garnish. Now, Garnish is the engine that we use to be able to assess if a tourism business is working well. Now, it uses the acronym Garnish. Garnish is an acronym which looks at growth. It looks at how you handle your assets. It looks at your revenues. It looks at how you've niched your business, so what makes you special. It looks at the innovations that you're using in your business, the systems, and then also the human resources. And by looking at each one of those different metrics, we are able to measure and know and diagnose what the problems of a tourism business are. This is a very valuable tool for us because we can then use it within the different rural BnBs to not let stuff fall through the cracks. Because I want you to imagine that what we're building is an entire business. It's almost like having a large hospitality group of people. And because it's a franchise, we want to maintain a certain level of standard. One of the things that we have developed as well is the Kanga Fry system. So the Kanga Fry system allows for people to be able to know how to develop, how to cook or food systems using what we call the 6 T's. The 6 T's are like a way in which you can come up with recipes and be able to cook them quickly enough by understanding how those 6 T's work. So what are these 6 T's? It's taste, it's technique, it's texture, it's time, it's temperature, and theater. And knowing these 6 variables allows people to set up food systems that would work at the same sort of rate or speed as McDonald's or any of these Burger Kings or KFC or any of these brands, but to do that within the context of traditional food. So just because it's traditional food doesn't mean it needs to take hours and hours and hours to do. Even if it does take hours, to deploy it has to be a much shorter time. And so this is one of the methods that we're using. We're using this in parallel with our hospitality academy. Our hospitality academy then trains a lot of young people to understand our systems so that when we need to deploy them, they're going to be useful. Currently, we've done this hospitality training in Victoria Falls, and it has been very effective because a lot of the young kids who had never had the opportunity to work in the tourism sector are now some of the sharpest minds that are there within Victoria Falls and working within that market. So the method that we use to train them actually allowed them to be able to pick up on these skills and be effective and actually be a lot faster and better within Victoria Falls. Chikafu is a very important product in this matrix of the 6 T's because in the recipe development, what we're looking to make local ingredients and dishes more contemporary. How do we make them fit within the tourism sector without just using them in a normal way? Now, our food was always rich. It was always very dynamic. It's after colonization that became very simplified. And so our ingredients really go through many different processes before they're cooked. And chikafu as a product, it wasn't just a cookbook. It was more about a system. How do you develop a system of producing great Zimbabwean recipes and ingredients in that way? So we're really that product in terms of teaching people within the villages. And we have shared many different recipes. One of the most famous one would be when there was a YouTube giant, really, Sunny, who does the best ever food review show, came to Victoria Falls, but couldn't find an establishment that would give an authentic Zimbabwean feel in terms of ingredients. And so what we did is we went to just a random growth point within our village, and it's a shop run by Maigari, who normally cooks the dola sadza for us. And then we basically just cooked with whatever ingredients we found at the village. So I didn't have an idea. I literally went through the market and came up with a recipe, and then cooked a dish, and then left the recipe for people like Maigari to be able to do for their guests. We also have the Muti brand. The Muti brand is Muti or Muti or Muti tree. So Muti looks at how we can take some of our herbal concoctions or herbal medicines and so on. And rather than look at them as medicine, we infuse them into very tasty refreshments that people can drink. These ingredients can then be used to make people understand the health benefits without necessarily actually making any medical claims, but at the same time we know what benefits they have, so the more that people drink them, the benefits would be realized. And later, I suppose, when research is being done, those can always be brought into the fold from a medical perspective. The reason why we did this is because we wanted people to enjoy more our local teas, want them to enjoy our local roots, want them to enjoy our local fruits. And so we've developed a number of recipes from a refreshment perspective that allows the villagers to be able to make their own refreshments in the village without relying on some of the big name brands, so that the supply chain is actually helped in that process. Genuine Africa is a way in which we can sell curios, we can sell photographs, prints, and so on. And essentially what we're doing is that for every rural BnB, a person can just scan something in the room, like I said earlier, and they can be transported into the shop, and then they can order whatever it's seen within the village. So the idea is to create a bigger database of stuff that people can buy from around the country, and also utilizing like modern technology, be able to sell or deploy some of these products to the clients. So what is our strategy? So I just wanted to wrap this up very quickly so that we can give you the link, and now you guys the link. I'm sure she can start posting it into the comments at the moment, so that everybody can get the registration. So I will call Nelsie to come and have a seat here, so that we can just go through some of the things that we are doing, and I can have my lovely wife join me in this presentation. Okay, so where's Nelsie here? Nelsie is, where are we? Where are we? Are we? No. There we go. Okay, so welcome, Nelsie.
Hi guys, how is everybody?
Excellent. So Nelsie is head of
Hospitality.
So our background, anyway, you can tell.
Okay, so I'm head of hospitality on our rural BnB startup. But basically what it is creating the experiences and working with the different people and the partners to create those experiences for rural BnB. In terms of our background, I've worked in the hospitality industry. Wow, I can't even for almost 25 years. I worked on cruise ships. I worked for two of the biggest tourism groups in Zimbabwe, and also in our business have managed a lot of the hospitality aspect of our business. So one of the major things that people ask us, and I think when it comes to rural BnB, is obviously the question is, if I want to do it, that's the biggest thing. Is everyone will say, okay, if I want to have a BnB, rural BnB at my establishment. What do I need to do? So we won't go into specifics, that'll but one of the things we've done because of that question is we have prototypes in terms of designs that we have on our village, where we will enable people to be able to come through. Obviously, bookings and those things are kind of necessary to kind of see the different architecture that we have put out on our. So we've spaced out and created different sections in our land. In one section, we will have so that looks like what do you call them? Huts.
Yeah. So in a moment we'll go through the different huts, and then also we'll take you through what's in the park.
Yeah.
So at the moment, as a strategy, what we want to do is the process that we're doing is to onboard people. So we want to get them onto the platform. You will notice that we initially had a lot of WhatsApp groups, but the challenge is that even though the WhatsApp groups are filled up with lots and lots of people who have interest, it's very difficult to be able to
zoom in on
the people who
actually
want to invest.
Yeah.
And so we basically are offering that platform only specifically to people who want to invest in building their rural BnBs. So that's what we're going to be onboarding. We're obviously going to go around the world and talk to people who are interested in staying in the villages. We're not just targeting domestic tourism, but we're also targeting the internationals to be able to come into the villages, because these are the experiences that they crave when they are coming into Africa. We are going to be going to more tours. We're going to continue doing more talks. We're basically just taking this on the road. We want to take units around the country so that people can be able to look, feel, and be able to play around.
This is creating more of like being able to have the ability to create a pop-up rural BnB. So that's something we've also managed to put together as a package to teach people how to be able to do that. If you just have land, but you don't want to have structures that are permanent, we also have that kind of product in place.
Yeah. And then, like I said, more talks around the world. So what's happening at the so that you know. So Ekaya is basically our homestead in Victoria Falls. So contrary to what people are thinking, ours is not a lodge. We're not trying to build that up for people to come and stay. We want people to come and train and experience and learn exactly how to run their own rural BnBs. This will obviously come at a cost. If people want to just tour the facility, it will come at a cost. It will just be an experience where you can actually just see the things that we're building. So Nelson will just show you some of the places.
So if you look at the structures, like we said, we had separated. We've got different aspects of our land where we've put it. So you see over there's a cluster of huts where that's your. We always split our rural into past, present, and future. So, for example, that is what this is our rural architecture across Zimbabwe and a lot of African countries. It can be tweaked here and there, but that's what it looks like. So that's a hut. Then, of course, as a lot of you know, we moved into a bus called Bumblebee, and we feel that it's still necessary to have that kind of a option for people to use.
It's a big litter issue.
Exactly.
People have dead buses all over the place, and what we want to do is just do a cleanup and be able to show people alternative things that you can do with your
broken down bus. So that's another section. We'll have buses that are turned into little tiny homes. Then just behind that, you'll see A-frames. A-frames. I was like asymmetrical. A-frames. Basically, that's what it is. It's an A-frame. It's a very easy structure to put up with the base, very nice and simple, but you can put that in your yard, not in your yard, sorry, in your village land, and create a beautiful experience where people are able to sleep. Then the next structure would be
it's like a timeshare. So this one is like a sort of a bigger type holiday home that you can set up so that like in your come and stay. The reason why we're saying timeshare, it's a good way of raising money. So we do business plans for different people. So depending on the plan that you sign up for on our app, we'll be able to take you through the different business plans that you can use. So timeshare is one of them, where you can find 12 or more friends or even 50 friends who each buy a week or a few number of days in advance so that you can finance the building of the project itself. So we help manage the process. so that everything is kept above board and so on, so that you can actually build.
And if you look at the structure itself, you see it's just a very large hut that's all enclosed. Everything is within the one hut. So that's a very nice way to put it. If you just build one big, nice, luxurious hut with everything inside and then share it amongst yourself with your friends. And then we have a dome. Yay. This is Carl's pet project. Yeah. So the dome really is being able to utilize rural space for events, talks, conferences, gatherings, like we already do in the village, but pretty much the dome, that's what it is. And it's a
geodesic shape.
So
believe it or not, this is one of the easiest structures to build. And the formula of building a geodesic, whether it's a frequency, two frequency geodesic dome, is quite easy to build with locally found materials. It's just the connectors that you would need to purchase, but that's a lot cheaper to do. So the geodesic allows you to be able to set up a structure, and then eventually you can either thatch it or you can close it with different
and make
materials.
it an enclosed home for yourself. Yeah.
The next one is
those are trees.
The house we call Blessing. Well, it's behind the tree. So I have a number of slides that I've set up, which will show you, because this is currently something that we're cut. So of the projects you've seen, a lot of them are like right at the beginning, either digging foundations and so on. Yeah. But this Blessing homestead, it's basically a smart home. In the villages, they've got a lot of these, what they call like these initial shells that you put up, usually rectangular, and usually don't have much light in them, and they have a corrugated roof. And so what we want to do was to use that same shape, but to build something more meaningful. And so this house comes with, it's basically built like a tiny home. So just to look at the layout, yeah. So Nelson will just take you through the flow of what everything is, starting from left
basically
to right.
For this one, if you look right at the top of your screen, it's, in terms of space, it's 12 meters by 12 meters by 4 meters. That's literally how big it is, and it's like a 1 bedroom. And we've just partitioned it between your bedroom, your bathroom, your kitchen, and then your seating area. And then if you notice what we did, because we live in a very, very hot place in Victoria Falls, we've extended the outdoor area where you can literally create an outdoor space, because in Vic Falls you actually spend more time outdoors than you do indoors. But there are things you want to do. You want to cook and sit outside and all those things. So that's what we've done. But you will find the smart nature of it is that we will also be digging slight reservoirs, and we'll have little miniature fish ponds, which we'll use for the circulation of our water, because we have a problem with water. So we don't want to see where any of our water goes to waste. If water is used, we want it to either water our gardens or use the water from the fish pond to actually grow our vegetables, which will also be growing as a hedge. So that border around that structure will actually be food that will
it'll feed us. So rather than grow flowers, we wanted to be more meaningful with how the water is used. So we wanted a house that will be able to feed us.
Yeah.
So the aquaponics systems, the drip irrigation, the filtering of the water,
and the rainwater collection, which is super important. Yeah. And something that I know we'll touch briefly on it is also having a bio toilet. What it is basically our toilet will be utilized as well. We collect the waste and create gas, but it uses a very, 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 very little water, if none at all, just to clean it up. So that's super important, especially on the sustainability nature.
Yeah, so this is obviously some building progress of that particular site. As it stands, I think we have a roof at the moment.
Yes, we do.
We are going to be going in to do the framing for the windows and the doors. Tiles will be going in, ceilings.
And then sorting out the gutter system for the rainwater solution. And yes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the sign up. So Nelsie will just go away for a second to send the link. Oh, Nelsie wants to say something.
I think there's a couple of people. If you have questions, 10 more minutes. So in the last, probably Carl will go through this for about 2-3 minutes. And then if you have any questions, please send through your questions, and we will be addressing your questions. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Nelsie. Kiss, kiss. Thank you. All right. So what we're going to do is We're going to talk about sign up and basically how you can get on the platform. As Nelsie is going to be posting the link multiple times, we'll pin them in the comments below. I'll just take you through the different categories. Okay, so we're looking at creating a $1 billion company, and that's not going to be easy. So it's not. It will look like we're trying to look for money in different areas, but you have to understand that in order for this to move, money has to move. So it's not a case where we're not asking for charity, actually delivering great value, but at the same time, we are looking at building a $1 billion company that is also going to benefit the rural communities that it serves. So because it's a billion, came up with a acronym called BIDZA, so that it's easy for you to understand how you can get involved in the project. So just remember BIDZA as an acronym, and that BIDZA is that first you can join the app. So in the form that you're going to be given in the link, you can either sign on to build. In order to build, you will be sent the information to pay the $150 to be on the build platform of the app. There is the invest. So investment can $2 for one token. There's 50,000 token total. So depending how many tokens you take, that's the share that you have. 50,000 tokens are representative of 5% of the company. So for example, if you buy all 50,000 tokens, then the membership is closed. So, but we're giving people the opportunity to just buy tokens, like 2 tokens, 3 tokens, but the total number of tokens available is going to be 50,000 tokens. These are non-exchangeable, they're non-refundable, they're going to be converted into shares once the company gets listed on the stock exchange. I hope that's clear, but you can always ask in the questions. You can donate. So donations will start from a minimum of $20 for whatever donation that you want to put. You can feel free to donate any amount. You will have a platform that will show the amount of donations that you have made, plus the types of credit that you do get. There's some donations where you get a free t-shirt and a cap, stuff like that, memorabilia, a plaque and so on. But those will be indicated in the donate platform. You can stay in the village. So anyone can register for the stay component of the app. So the stay component just allows you to see the places where you can book. Bookings usually start from about $100 per person per night. Again, we're not going for because it doesn't benefit communities to go at a lower level, and this is why we're encouraging groups, because then it's cost effective for you to be able to stay in the village. There'll be a number of different packages that are available. The next S is sell. So you can actually sell your products, which is our database, our suppliers. So sell splits to 2 parts. So there's the suppliers database, and then there's the people that want to sell their products. That's from $100 a year, which is the hosting package for us to be able to host your account, your site, your page, and also be able to store all of your the material that you are wanting to sell. So the packages are from $100 a year. There's some that are $600 a year, $1,200 a year. But these all have different benefits on there. And then lastly, we have the Academy. So you can sign on if you want to join the Academy, which is just a place of learning. The only reason why we have charged $8, because I want young people to just understand that nothing in this life actually just comes for free. It's just a token amount that we want to see your commitment, that you're willing to actually understand that all of this information is not being given to you for free, that there is some element of you being a steward of the investment that in yourself. Obviously, that dollar at the end of the day for some of these young people that join the Academy is going to be converted into a share of the company once the company has been listed on the stock exchange. So it's part of the 50,000 budget of shares that are available. So I highly recommend that young people, you ask them to invest. This will be the first time they have their own personal investment that they can grow thereafter. There are free platforms where you can find out stuff about rural BnB. We still have the WhatsApp groups. Nelsie will also send some links or post a link to one of the WhatsApp groups on there so that you can join the WhatsApp group. And there's information that's being given for free on the WhatsApp group. But on the app, there will be really much information that's available for free in that regard. But we'll still be posting a lot of inspirational stuff within the groups, and people can follow on Instagram, on Facebook, and even on TikTok, where we will be doing a lot of rural challenges, like, dressing up in traditional gear, sharing some rural stories. There's so many different things that we are going to be doing. So hopefully you should have the link. And at this point, I think I wanted to see if there's somebody who wanted to join our chat. I'm not really sure how we do it, but I'll post a link. We have two questions.
We have 3 questions.
3 questions. Okay.
We've got Sharon, who was asking about timeshares.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the tokens and things, they wanted to know, is there an option for timeshares?
Yes.
On the tokens?
So for each of the projects that we are working on, I'm sorry, Nelsa, I've just sent you the link in your inbox. For anyone who wants to join the chat, you can just put that into the link. So anyone who wants to join or say something, they can we can add them onto the platform. So when it comes to timeshares, we are going to be offering people timeshares. It will just depend on the different area. So you can invest specifically in a rural BnB. So if we're going into Kariba, we might offer you a timeshare and say, this is the facility you want to build. We're going to show you the structure. We'll show you the costs. And then we'll also show you what your contribution is going to be for the timeshare itself. But that will only fall under the people that are signed on the investment section of the app itself. That's where the information will be available for you to be able to see where you actually want to invest. So you can grow your own portfolio and know where your timeshares are. So the way that a timeshare works, just imagine that we have a room. The room is available throughout the year for 365 days. So you can share that time amongst people. So if it's $100 per person per night, a person can actually buy 7 days at $700, but you buy that in advance, and then you can stay later. This allows for a certain level of investment for us to be able to build more, to build better, to maintain, to secure, and make sure that by the time you stay, you'll be able to get a great experience. I don't know if that answers your question on timeshares.
Then there's Buzzy. Buzzy is asking that it's a wonderful idea, but things do happen. What happens to my I think he said shares.
Right. Okay. So at the moment, they aren't shares. This is a membership. So we are going to try and give you as much value of the membership as possible. So discounts and so on. So treat it like you are investing in here because you want to get discounts, or you want to get giveaways, or you want to get the certain advantages that you can have of being in there. Say you want to build, our suppliers will be able to offer discounts to people who are holding a certain number of rewards that they get on our investor platform. What we're saying is the cherry on the cake is that we are going to convert those into shares. So yes, we do recognize that it was a risk. This is the reason why we took the form of saying, let us make it a membership of people so that we can give you the adequate value. We can give you information on how to build your own rural BnBs. We can help you with ideas. All of this value we're giving to you regardless. But on top of that, what we're saying is that thank you so much for your investment. We happen to be giving you shares when we list as a company, so that risk is not at the back of your mind. You do get some benefit at the beginning, but what we're saying is that if Zimbabweans do come on board and they do invest, we do see a greater uptake of this product, considering we're also going into the region, we're going all over Africa. So that money is going to be very necessary for us to be able to acquire that financing. We're not going to be able to get it through traditional means. And so we are offering this opportunity to people who want to get in on the business and see how it's going to grow. So we've started off wanting to raise 100,000. Which puts our company valuation at 1 million. We are going to raise 1 million later, which will put our company valuation at 10 million. And then later on, we're going to raise 10 million, which will put our company valuation at 100 million. And then at the 100 million phase is where we go and we list, in which case the company would then go on its trajectory towards its pizza or $1 billion. So I want you to imagine that at that point, what your dollar is going to mean once we get to that phase. But like you said, a lot of things do happen. But as people that have been dedicated to wanting to run a company that is successful, we are really putting our nose to the grindstone to make sure that we do deliver on the key milestones of the project itself.
We have one question from Hannah, who says, thank you for sharing. I was wondering if I had land in the urban area, but interested in setting up some of these rural BnB ideas, would that work?
Yeah. So thank you for that question. So the question is like, are we, can we set up rural BnBs in the urban spaces? Now, this is a very important point. We want everything to be rural driven, and it's going to influence everything that happens in the urban space. So yes, we definitely want to see some urban rural BnB, or what we are calling rural inspired BnBs. So a person can come and stay in Harare and live in a place that has been built with, with a rural thing in mind. There are a lot of Airbnbs who are currently converting to rural BnBs that have a thatch that look like they're African inspired. So a lot of those are going to be added actually onto the platform, because we actually want to show the influence. Most of our biggest hotels have actually been built off the designs of rural. And so we want to be able to celebrate that within the context of rural. So definitely, yes, we do encourage that people build in the urban areas. We do know that there are a lot more restrictions on what you can build and what you can do. And so also take that in mind in terms of where you're putting your investment or putting your money.
And then we have Mark Filton, who says, what about engaging in safari operators? Many of them would snap up at the chance to be involved. And it's a two-part question. And then he says, so basically speaking, the membership test is like an investing beta testing project?
Yes, I wouldn't call it beta. I would say it's an investment. So what we are doing is that we are taking your money as an investment, but we have restrictions. We're not a listed company, so we are framing it as a membership. So you are paying a membership fee, and that gives you different benefits. And once you're logged on, you're going to see how the memberships give you the kind of value. We are just offering the shareholding if the company goes public, which is our definite trajectory, is that we're looking at the company going public. I guess for all intents and purposes, we can go with your theory to say that it is a testing facility, but yeah, we are looking at it more as it's actually a membership, and it's just going to evolve into an investment portfolio.
Okay, we're waiting for one more question.
Any more questions? No more questions? Okay, so I hope you are going to go through the link and register on our platform, so that you can actually just get the benefits, right, of rural tourism. I mean, certainly for us, we have benefited quite a lot. I'll give you some examples that customers haven't hesitated paying $100 per person just to sit around a fire for me to cook for them. A lot of people have seen me off the comedy space. It's because more people want to pay to sit around a fire for a Zimbabwean comedian to tell them jokes. I've had lots of filmmakers, documentary makers, newsmakers coming just for that African experience. And we felt we needed to create a unique product that could share this with you, because we believe that it is a great idea, but I think it's an even more fantastic platform, because this is something that the country desperately needs, is for people not to look at their rural areas as a place of poverty, but in fact to look at it as a place of growth. Currently, as we speak, rural Airbnb has actually launched something called the Rural Bootcamp. They are taking rural seriously. I mean, like for us, what we have noticed is that they've already started within the European context, but have no solution for Africa. And so this is a great opportunity for us to get in that space. People have not thought about that space from a platform perspective. And I believe that we have created something with a very unique offering, something that gives people the creativity and also gives you a starting point from an investment perspective to be able to get onto that business without having to sweat a lot of capital. The more of us that get involved, the better it is for the entire community.
Yeah. I think well, if I have to say anything, I think that one of the there are two very key important things, and I know it sounds repetitive when we talk about sustainability, but we live in the village. One of the biggest thing is how do you keep up a certain way of life, and that has become super important, and that's very key for us with rural BnB. That's number one, and then number two, one of the very key things which I know a lot of people might struggle with or might have challenges with is actually creating a collaborative business with people in rural spaces. Well, I mean, we are people in rural spaces, but people who live in rural spaces actually creating a lucrative collaboration because we're a business. We're not a charity, we're a business. So if we can create a business that benefits the community, that grows the community, that develops the community, look, I think every business, that's why we're in business, is to try and also make a difference. So we want to make money, but we want to also make a difference. And I think with everybody involved, it's definitely a way we can make a difference.
Yeah, and just to let you know, two things is that Rural BnB as a company within the next 2 years, we're definitely looking at rolling out 100 room nights from our perspective
Yeah.
in a product that we're calling Rural BnB Select. So Rural BnB Select are our specific rural tourism operations that are geared and optimized for maximum effectiveness within the villages. So make no mistake, we are going full on in that particular area, whether people jump on board or not. We are excited about that. So I would highly recommend that you fill out the form and go through the approval process. We're also asking in there for your ID. The reason why we're doing that is because there are a lot of different agreements that we have to set up with you as well, that we have to send to depending on the area that you're joining on.
Yeah.
So want to make sure that the people on our platform have fully understood what it is that they're getting in
And
for.
also they're secure as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. My name is Carl Joshua Ncube.
My name is Nelsie Ncube.
Founder and CEO.
I am co-founder and hospitality director. But thank you so much. Thank you for your time and thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your encouragement. We shall continue. And I'm sure we'll have a lot more talks, but I think more now on the ground when we actually continue rolling out everything. So keep watching this space, and hopefully you'll either be an investor, a tourist, or part of the community that we're actually working in. So thank you again.
Thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye.